Teslas are being torched across the country. Dealerships shot up and set on fire. Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
Today we are about to witness one of the biggest and most unexpected turns in Tesla's history. A company that was once associated with revolutionizing the automotive industry is now facing a crisis that could destroy its future. Tesla has been in a precipitous decline in recent months, not only financially but also in public perception. Elon Musk, who was once the epitome of innovation, now faces the most difficult choice of his career. And it's not just another stock plunge. We're talking about a situation that could change the face of the global electric car market ever.
KTLA Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
Imagine this: in early 2023, the Canadian government announces that it will impose a 100% tariff on Tesla cars. And that's just the beginning. Why has this move turned out to be not just an economic measure, but a real political challenge? How does this situation relate to global trade wars and Musk's personal political stance? And why exactly was this decision the beginning of the end for Tesla? One of the most striking effects of this innovation has been the huge losses in a market that has always been important for the company in terms of image and revenue. In the first months after the new tariffs were implemented, Tesla's deliveries in Canada fell by 40%. The Model 3, previously considered an affordable option for most Canadians, now became associated with high prices and difficult maintenance. The market stopped believing in Tesla as a symbol of innovation and technological advancement. But that wasn't the only reason for the decline. Musk came under pressure, and not just on the financial front. The impact of his political statements and actions began to poison the company's reputation.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
Tesla's massive problems are not limited to Canada alone. Amid growing competition from Chinese manufacturers and a domestic crisis, Tesla is increasingly losing ground in major markets in Europe and the US. Supply problems, mass layoffs of employees, falling sales, all of this is building up like a snowball. And then there's the massive loss of key talent that once created Tesla's future. How did this happen? Why, despite Musk's own claims that the company will overcome the crisis, things look much worse than we could have imagined. Who will become the new leader in the electric car market if Tesla can no longer hold its position? How will the global political arena change if Musk can't regain the trust of investors and consumers? And what lies behind Musk's next move, who must now find a way out of this disaster? In this video, we'll delve into how Canada's decision and Tesla's growing internal problems have brought the company to the brink of collapse. Details you won't find elsewhere, and an analysis of how far Musk is willing to go to get his company back on its pedestal. Stay tuned for answers to all of these questions.
We begin with the president's trade war escalating tonight. This evening, the retaliation against the United States, Canada, and the European Union responding quickly, just hours after President Trump's 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States.
Tesla, once the epitome of hope for the future of electric cars, is now in dire straits. The company that Elon Musk built on the idea of changing the world through innovative technology is facing a decline in reputation and stock price. Whereas Tesla seemed invincible a couple of years ago, its position in its own home market is now starting to crack at the seams. There are new players on the horizon, such as Chinese companies NIO and BYD, which are already steadily gaining ground in countries where Tesla used to be considered the sole leader. It seems that the company that once set trends now can't even hold its leading position in the market, and Musk, as its permanent leader, has found himself at the center of criticism. And it's not just an internal crisis, but also how Tesla is perceived from the outside world. When Tesla first started out, its marketing strategy was brilliant. The company's image, which epitomized technological advancement and environmental consciousness, appealed to consumers around the world. And Tesla cars were becoming not just transportation, but a true symbol of success and progress. In 2018, Tesla set a record in sales volume, and the company's shares grew rapidly, bringing Elon Musk the status of one of the most influential entrepreneurs of the planet. But now the situation has changed. The company has started losing customers in key markets. Sales in Europe, especially in countries such as Germany, France, and the UK, began to fall. The reasons for this lie not only in the growing competition, but also in the changing perception of the company itself. Tesla is no longer perceived as an infallible leader, but rather as a corporation that is struggling to meet the challenges of the times.
We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
But perhaps most troubling is the fact that Chinese automakers have emerged in these markets and are aggressively increasing their share. BYD, once considered just another Chinese manufacturer, now offers models that can compete with Tesla on price and quality. Their cars are becoming increasingly popular in Europe, and the Chinese company is becoming more recognized for its flexibility and affordability. The problems with Tesla's electric cars now is that they are no longer so unique. Too high prices and delays in delivering new models give consumers the feeling that Tesla is not innovating, but just expensive cars with a huge number of flaws. While Chinese manufacturers offer the same features but at a much more attractive price. Starting in 2023, Chinese cars started to fill European roads, and Tesla's market was threatened. In addition, the significant efforts of Chinese manufacturers in developing technology cannot be overlooked. Companies such as NIO and BYD are actively investing in new electric car models and battery technologies that are becoming increasingly competitive with those used by Tesla. In particular, NIO has announced the launch of a new electric SUV that outperforms many Tesla models, and this in an environment where the price of a new SUV from the Chinese brand is only 60% of the cost of a similar vehicle from Tesla. That's a deciding factor for a buyer who today tends to think more about price than brand. For Tesla, this competition poses a serious threat, especially in light of the fact that they cannot afford to drastically reduce the prices of their cars without sacrificing profits.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
Another major reason for Tesla's loss of position is the situation with production delays and supply problems. The company's internal problems became evident when Tesla faced shortages of semiconductors and other key components in 2023, leading to significant production delays. The Model 2, the long-awaited budget version of Tesla's electric car, was delayed for several years, and even after that it failed to meet expectations. Musk tried to justify this with low-key statements, claiming that such delays are inevitable. But this only worsened the perception of Tesla as a company unable to keep its word and meet customer needs. Many experts argue that Tesla's key problem today is its inability to adapt to a changing market and remain competitive amidst the new market landscape. For a company that was once perceived as the absolute leader in electric vehicle technology and manufacturing, this defeat looks particularly painful. Previously, when Tesla was embarking on its expansion into other countries, Musk confidently claimed that the company would not only change the auto industry, but would also play an important role in solving global environmental problems. Today, however, that image is beginning to crumble, and Tesla is losing its appeal as a symbol of the future.
Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Against the backdrop of these changes, it is worth paying attention to the growing role of China as a leading player in the electric car market. Over the past few years, Chinese companies have been actively innovating with cheaper and more accessible technologies, and they are ramping up production volumes, which is significantly lowering the price of their cars. BYD, for example, plans to produce up to 10 million cars a year by 2025, which is significantly more than Tesla. They are looking to take over not only the Chinese market, but also to expand their position in Europe, where Tesla used to be a major player in the electric car market. Thus, Tesla is facing a growing threat from more flexible and cheaper producing Chinese companies, which are able to offer buyers an alternative that is as good as it is. In this situation, it is no longer a question of whether Tesla can maintain its position, but rather how long it can remain the market leader, unless it finds solutions to its internal problems and changes its strategy in response to the new challenges of the outside world. The battle ahead for Tesla is not only with competitors, but also with internal problems that could prove fatal to its continued existence, as we have known the company so far.
Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
Since the tariffs were imposed, demand for Tesla cars in Canada has dropped significantly. The Model 3, which used to be hugely popular among Canadian consumers, was now perceived as too expensive and difficult to obtain. Service issues that previously seemed minor have become a major barrier for buyers. Tesla was previously a symbol of affordable innovation and technology, but that image has now begun to erode. Canadians who previously proudly associated themselves with Tesla ownership have now begun to look for cheaper and more affordable alternatives. For example, as a result of the growing popularity of Chinese brands like BYD, Tesla has lost a market that was once considered one of the most important to its image. As prices increased and service in Canada deteriorated, customers began to switch en masse to more affordable brands, which was not only an economic but also a symbolic defeat for Musk and his company. One of the most painful consequences for Tesla was the drop in the company's stock price that followed immediately after the duties were imposed. In the first few days after the decision to impose tariffs on Tesla, the company's stock plummeted 25%, which came as a shock to investors. Since then, the stock has continued to fall, and the market has begun to react to the situation with alarm. Musk, previously known for his ability to navigate difficult situations and overcome crises, has found himself at the center of harsh criticism. He was accused of underestimating the political situation and the consequences of his statements. Moreover, experts claimed that Musk failed to properly assess the risks associated with trade sanctions and worsening relations between the US and Canada. These events began to overlap with the company's already existing problems due to internal difficulties such as cuts in production facilities, supply issues, and delays in the release of new models. Musk responded by claiming that the company would overcome the crisis, but many began to question his ability to effectively manage the situation.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. A lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
Meanwhile, the outside world continued to watch the drama unfold. The scale of the tariff problem was so large that even for companies like Tesla, there were no obvious solutions. The Canadian government, after imposing duties, not only reduced shipments, but also began actively looking for ways to support its auto industry. At this time, new players that had been in the shadows began to emerge on the global stage. Chinese manufacturers such as BYD and NIO began actively developing their networks in Canada and other countries, where Tesla had previously been considered the unbeatable leader. The Chinese brand's strategy was simple: offer consumers the same features as Tesla, but at lower prices. These companies also took advantage of local manufacturing facilities, which allowed them to lower the cost of cars and provide quick service. With each passing month, Tesla's competitors grew stronger, and Musk's company increasingly lost credibility. and appeal in the eyes of consumers. In parallel, new problems arose in connection with the Starlink project, which Musk was also developing as an important part of his global image. The Canadian authorities refused further negotiations on this project and cancelled the $66 million contract. The reason for this was not only because of economic aspects, but also because of the authorities' concerns about the safety of using satellite technology to spy on citizens. The move was another loss for Musk, who now had to face not only the economic crisis of Tesla, but also political difficulties with other high-tech projects. The Starlink losses, according to analysts, were the latest blow to Musk's image as a visionary and innovative leader.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio. Remy, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
Meanwhile, the impact of the growing political tensions on the company became even more evident. Musk continued to be vocal about political situations, especially in Europe and the US, which only exacerbated his reputational problems. In Europe, for example, research data showed that most consumers began to avoid buying a Tesla precisely because of Musk's political activism. This had a significant impact on sales in countries like Germany and the UK, where Musk's policies were perceived as controversial and even dangerous. Competitors, including Chinese brands, used this situation to their advantage, actively emphasizing that they are not involved in political scandals and offer only quality products at affordable prices. Thus, the situation with car tariffs and the fall of Tesla shares became only part of a bigger picture, in which political and economic factors turned out to be inseparable from each other. Musk found himself at the center of a global battle, where he not only had to fight for the survival of his company, but also for his personal image as a leader of innovation. When global markets began to realize the extent of Tesla's problems, competing with Chinese manufacturers was not the only challenge for the company. Musk, who has always been known for his ambition and drive to revolutionize the technology industries, faced increasing pressure, not only from competitors, but also from the political scene. It's not just the threat from cheaper and more technologically competitive brands like BYD and NIO, it's also the need to cope with the growing political tensions Tesla finds itself in. The European market, which had previously been one of the most promising for the company, has now become an arena for new conflicts, with Tesla finding itself at the center of these disputes. Due to the decision on tariffs, supply problems, and deteriorating public image, Musk found himself under severe pressure both inside and outside the company.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
For Tesla, the most important task remained not only to overcome the crisis, but also to regain the trust of consumers and investors. Musk continued to claim that the company would return to its leadership position, but the reality was that Tesla was now in a difficult situation. Supply problems, falling sales, and growing competition with Chinese manufacturers had become too severe for the company to quickly regain its position in the market. The situation was also exacerbated as new political and economic sanctions, especially in markets such as Germany and the UK, continued to take a toll on the company's reputation. Meanwhile, Chinese companies like NIO and BYD were gaining market share with each passing month. which was becoming increasingly threatening to Tesla. Not only were these companies offering competitive models at lower prices, but they were also aggressively expanding their production facilities in Europe and Canada. Chinese automakers used a strategy based on high quality and affordable prices, which attracted more and more consumers, especially in countries where Tesla was facing affordability issues. This was a real challenge for Tesla. The company found itself not only in a situation where competitors could offer better terms, but also in a context of global political instability that only exacerbated its internal crisis. Amid these changes, Musk continued to say that Tesla would overcome the crisis. However, despite his confidence, the situation was becoming increasingly worrying. The market had changed, and Tesla was no longer the invincible leader that could drive the global auto industry. Amid increasing pressure from Chinese brands and growing political concerns, Tesla was forced to rethink its strategy. Experts began to suggest that the company may have to make major changes to its business model to remain competitive. But the biggest challenge for Tesla was not only how to regain its market position, but also how to deal with the growing political and economic risks. Musk had to balance his own political activism with the need to build confidence in his business. Despite Musk's best efforts to get the company back on track, his reputation has become seriously jeopardized. It is no longer just a question of market share, but whether Tesla can regain its image as a company that was once a symbol of technological progress.